In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the steering wheel wiring harness on this Chevy Silverado. Let's get into it. We're going to disconnect the battery, the negative terminal right here. Just use a 10mm wrench. Loosen up the nut. Once that's loose, then you can grab the cable. Pull that off. And just slide that out of the way, just like that. We're taking the airbag off. On both sides of the steering wheel, there is a little hole right there. You want a blunt object like a pick, maybe a pick that doesn't have the tip on it, or even a small screwdriver that fits in the hole. And then you're gonna have to feel around, and there's a rod that you're gonna push on. When you push on that, the airbag will unattach from the steering wheel. And once you find that spot, so it's about that angle, then you can release the airbag. And then you have to do that on the other side, the exact same. Just find that spot. And then the airbag just pulls out. And on the back side of the airbag, you just use a pick. Just get underneath this little lock right here. Just slide that out slightly. Then you can squeeze the tabs and disconnect it. Same with this pink one. Just get underneath the lock. Slide that up. Oh, sometimes they fall out. Push on the tabs and disconnect it. And slide that out. Then when you put the airbag down, you want to place it like this. You don't want to put it on its face. Now we're going to disconnect this connector right here. You might need a pick. Just get underneath the tab right there. And then slide it off. There's just a little tab right there. Now I'm going to loosen this nut up. I'm going to use a 21mm socket. Just hold the steering wheel from turning. There we go. Now before we take the nut off, you want to keep it on a couple threads. You're going to grab the steering wheel and just rock it back and forth. Rock it up and down. Just keep going back and forth. And eventually it'll be loose like that. You can use a special puller, but you don't have to. The reason you leave the nut on there is so that you don't hit the steering wheel in your face when you go to pull it off. Now carefully slide this off. Watch out for the wires. And this should stay locked. If it doesn't, you want to make sure you tape this because you don't want this spinning. Otherwise, you're going to break the coil in there. When we're trying to get the airbag out, when the tool's going in here, you're trying to push this spring right here, just like that. Now we're going to take these 4 bolts out. Use a T30 socket. This bracket's going to come off. It is connected right here. You want to disconnect that connector. You can use a screwdriver to disconnect it if it's a struggle. Just pop that off. Just like that. And then this bracket comes out. Now we're going to take these screws out, use a T15 socket, loosen those up. Oops. Take those out, and then this little pad, just slide that off. Do the same with these. Grab that pad, that slides off, and the last one. Slide that off. Now we're going to take a trim tool and just get underneath here. There is a couple clips on the sides right there and there. And just pop those up. With that popped up, then we can twist this. We want to disconnect this connector. Slide the wiring harness out and push down on the tab. Disconnect it, set that aside. We're going to do the same on this side. Get under here. Pop it up. Pull the wiring harness out and push down on the tab and slide it out. Now there's 4 screws holding this back on. We want to take that off. Use a T20 socket. Take those out. And pull those out, and then this whole cover comes off. Just pull the steering wheel straight up. Now we're going to take the harness out. You can see where it's clipped in. It just slides out. Unclip it, and it comes right out. Take the new harness and just line it up the same way the old one came out. Slide it under the clips. If you need to, you can use a pick or a screwdriver. See, this lines up over here, just like that. All right, that looks good. Now I take the steering wheel, just line everything up. And take the screws, get those started. We're going to start all the screws first before we tighten them down. And snug them down. All right. Now we're going to attach the buttons in the trim. Make sure you plug the connector in. Lock that in. And then we'll slide this under the clip. Right there. And line it up. Lock it down in place. Do the same with the other side. You might have to pull on the harness a little bit, make adjustments. That one's a little bit trickier to plug in. Get the harness in the clip. Line it up. And push it down. Now these tabs can all go in place. Right there. And take those screws, get those started, and tighten those down. Just snug, not too tight. might have to turn that around if it's going the wrong direction. Snug those down. And the last one. And snug that down. Now we can take this plate, line this up. Get all these started. Make sure the wiring harness doesn't go the wrong way. You don't want that underneath there. So. And tighten these down. I'm just going to try to tighten them evenly. And snug them down. Now take this connector, line that up with that tab, and slide it down. And now you're ready to install the steering wheel. Now we're going to feed the airbag wires through the steering wheel. And then line this up. There is an arrow on the steering wheel that needs to get lined up with the little mark on the shaft. It is indexed, so you shouldn't be able to put this on wrong, so just keep that in mind. And then before I put the nut on, I am going to plug this connector in. So just line this up, slide it in place, and just push it down. Lock it in place. Now put the nut on. Just tighten this down. Then we're going to torque that nut to 30 foot-pounds. Now we'll take the airbag, line the connector up. It only goes on one way. Goes upside down like that, and then push the lock down. And take the other connector, line that up, push it down, and then push the lock down. And with that all lined up, and just push until it locks in place. Now take the cable, line that up, and connect the battery, and take your wrench, tighten this down. Make sure that's snug, just give it a wiggle.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.